Welcome to Basketball U. If you're new to Basketball U, make sure you slam dunk that subscribe button. And just to make sure you don't miss a thing, make sure you tap that notification bell right after you hit that subscribe button. Basketball U. Woo! Welcome back. It's good to see you. And it's good to see the Basketball U community growing each day. Make sure to continue to hit that like button as we bring you more and more each day. Today on this installment of Role Players, we got one of the coolest and flashy, high energy and high flying guys to come in the league straight out of high school and straight to the league. He was the player of the year in the class of 2000 high school All-American class. He made first team All-Rookie team in the NBA, and doing all that, he made such an impact on the league with his high flying dunks and his signature celebration that he caught the attention of the Jordan brand. Basketball U family, we would like to present to you Darius Miles. Miles was born in Belleville, Illinois, and attended East St. Louis Lincoln High School and East St. Louis Senior High School in East St. Louis, Illinois. Let's take a stroll down East St. Louis so you understand what this young man had to deal with to get an opportunity that he did as such a highly recruited athlete. East St. Louis was rated as one of the most dangerous cities in America at one point in time, and in the 2000s, it wasn't much different. Most had two ways to go, the good way or the bad way. Usually the good way is removing yourself from the city and finding something better. The bad way unfortunately ended in loss of life or jail for most. Darius found basketball as his way of a release of everything going on and his way out for a better future for his family. Darius Miles' talent level was off the charts and the nation took notice as he was one of the highest recruited players in the country. Before declaring to enter the 2000 NBA draft, Miles had signed a national letter of intent to play for the St. John's Red Storm men's basketball team. Alongside fellow top recruit Omar Cook, Mike Jarvis, the head coach for the Red Storm at the time, had stated that Miles' commitment significantly helped obtain Cook and the other incoming freshmen from the recruiting class. Miles entered the 2000 NBA draft and was selected by the Los Angeles Clippers as the third overall pick. At the time, the highest a player had been drafted directly from high school. For the next two seasons, Miles, Quentin Richardson, Corey Maggette, Lamar Odom, and Elton Brand entertained fans with their exciting, high-flying style to play. He played his first two seasons with the Clippers, earning an NBA All-Rookie Team first honor in 2001. In those years, Miles, Richardson, and the team helped the players improve their win column from 15 wins in 99-2000 to 31 wins in 2000-2001 to finally 39 wins in 2001-2002. In the 2001-2002 season, the Clippers appeared to be on the verge of their first playoff appearance since 1997. However, they were only able to win 3 of the last 12 games of the season, ultimately finishing 5 games out of the playoffs. Following the 2001-2002 season, he was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers alongside Harold Jamison in a deal for Andre Miller and Bryant Stith, where he spent a season and a half before being traded to the Portland Trail Blazers for Jeff McInnes and Ruben Boucher midway through the 2003-2004 season. During the 2004-2005 season, Miles made headlines after a confrontation with then-coach Maurice Cheeks, in which Miles reportedly insulted Cheeks with racial slurs, and remarked he did not care if the team were to lose the next 20 games, since Cheeks was going to be fired anyway, according to ESPN's Chad Ford and other accounts. After Cheeks asked Miles to leave, Miles' response was, "Make me." When Cheeks left the room to see Blazers general manager John Nash, Miles ran behind him shouting, "That's right, run to your daddy." On April 19th, 2005, he scored a career-high 47 points in the loss against the Denver Nuggets, which equaled the 8th highest single-game output in franchise history. Late in the 2005 to 2006 season, Miles severely injured his right knee. 5 days later, on April 15th, he played in his 40th and last game of the season. He missed the entire 2006-07 and 2007-08 NBA seasons due to microfracture surgery to repair his injury. What is microfracture surgery, you ask? Well, we are going to take a little time to break it down, since multiple athletes had this surgery, and some it helped save their career for a few years, and for some it didn't, and here's why. Microfracture is a surgical technique used to repair damaged articular cartilage by making multiple small holes in the surface of the joint, which stimulates a healing response. The technique was frequently used in athletes after they injured their joints. Short-term results looked promising, though the results often deteriorated over time. Why is this? The surface of joints is covered with articular cartilage, a smooth bearing surface with a dense matrix, few cells, and no blood vessels. When injured by a fall or a sports injury, the dent in the articular cartilage never heals. If the injury is large enough to both expose the underlying bone and cause bleeding, a degree of healing can occur. But the repair tissue is usually not the same as the normal cartilage. When the healing is inadequate, pain recurs. Over time, in the absence of healing, the initial damage to the articular cartilage gets worse. This leads to post-traumatic arthritis, a loss of cartilage, and a deformation of the underlying bone. Microfracture, by making holes into the underlying bone, brings a new blood supply to the surface. This blood supply carries the marrow progenitor cells. The clot that forms on the top of the bone at the site of the cartilage injury must heal and mature into an effective repair tissue for the procedure to work. Though the clot often does form, it has a varying ability to form into adequate cartilage repair material. The data from multiple studies in athletes show that the repair tissue breaks down over a few years, leaving exposed bone and causing more pain. Microfracture fails because the body loses the race between durable healing and repeated injury from weight bearing. In the life of an athlete, sometimes decisions have to be made in such a short time, and because the game continues with or without you, unfortunately time isn't on your side when making a career-ending or saving decision based on the injury that occurred. This injury caused Darius Miles to go through more than just dealing with the injury. In an effort to shed Miles' $18 million contract, the Portland Trail Blazers petitioned the NBA and the NBA Players Association in March 2008 to provide an independent doctor to decide whether Miles could play again. The examination determined that Miles' knee injury was severe enough to be career-ending, prompting the Blazers to request waivers for his release on April 14, 2008. However, Miles had the option to sign on with another team if offered a contract, potentially reverting that $18 million savings the Blazers had hoped to gain if Miles played in 10 games in 2008. Complicating matters was a 10-game suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy levied by the NBA, which Miles was required to serve before he could play for any NBA team. On August 22, 2008, the Celtics signed Miles to a non-guaranteed contract, offering him a chance to earn a roster spot at training camp. Though he worked out twice with the team and impressed with his health and attitude, he was waived on October 20th, before the regular season started. On December 13, 2008, Miles signed with the Memphis Grizzlies. After sitting out his 10-game suspension, Miles made his season debut with the team on January 4, 2009, playing the last 1 minute 46 seconds in a 102-82 win against the Dallas Mavericks. On January 7, after collecting only 2 rebounds and 2 blocks in 9 minutes over 2 games, Miles was waived. On January 9th, following a controversy over his re-signing, the Grizzlies signed Miles to a 10-day contract. The next game against the Cavaliers on January 14th, Miles played 14 minutes and exhibited some of the quickness and leaping ability he once possessed. He recorded 13 points on 4 of 6 shooting and making 5 of the 7 free throws in a 102-87 loss. On January 30th, 2009, the Grizzlies signed Miles for the rest of the 2008-2009 season. On July 9th, 2009, the Grizzlies re-announced their rights on Miles in order to save cap room. Under NBA rules, if a team is guaranteed salary cap relief for a career-ending injury to a player who thereafter participates in at least 10 games the next season, the salary cap relief is terminated and the amount is added back to the team's salary cap ceiling. On January 8, 2009, after Miles played 6 preseason games with the Celtics and 2 before having released from a non-guaranteed contract by the Grizzlies, the Portland Trail Blazers threatened to sue any of the other 29 NBA teams that picked up Miles and played him specifically to adversely impact their salary cap and tax positions. In response, the NBA Players Association threatened to file a grievance against the Trailblazers. After a directive from the NBA Commissioner's office the next day declaring that any team could sign Miles and the league would improve the contract, the Memphis Grizzlies re-signed Miles on January 10, 2009 to a 10-day non-guaranteed contract. Miles then played the 2 games necessary to trigger re-addition of the $18 million to Portland's cap amount. Miles then re-signed 2 more 10-day contracts with the Grizzlies before being signed for the rest of the 2008-2009 season on January 30th, 2009. The role of Darius Miles plays an important one as it shows the world what being at the top of the world feels like and having it all taken away with one injury. That's sports, but it doesn't change the character of Darius Miles, as he is an easygoing and insightful person who has turned some misfortunes into opportunity, as he now hosts a podcast with longtime friend Quentin Richardson, and it brings him back into the world of basketball and sharing memories and giving insight on his life and decision making on how younger guys can learn from the stories and discussions on his podcast. Thank you, D. Miles, for the highlights and memories. This is Basketball U. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, follow all of our social medias right there in the description to keep yourself up to date, as this channel will have a lot of basketball, a lot of players, and a lot of training and more information on how to play the game of basketball. Remember, someone's always working. Are you?